You're watching JRQ TV. Be sure to like and subscribe. All right, here we are, the Reinvented Life, Real Talk. And I tell you today, we are really going to be talking real. I mean, there's a lot happening in this world right now, and Pamela Chanel David is working literally tirelessly with different organizations, trying to help people accomplish what they need to, trying to get where they need to get, what they need to get, how they're going to get it. It's phenomenal what the Reinvented Life is doing. So without further ado, Pamela Chanel David, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I have been very, very busy. Everyone is using video conference, video chat for their content. As you know, JRQ TV is just blowing up. Wait till you see what we're putting together right now. You're going to go, oh my gosh, I absolutely have to be involved in that. But just wait and see. When NBC picks up JRQ TV, you'll see what I'm talking about. But we're working on some things. But long story short, I am just trying to get people connected. And with what you're doing, it's imperative that we continue to work together in connecting these people and get these things done. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that. And when I say I'm doing great, it's because at the Reinvented Life and myself personally, it's about exactly what you just said, which is really giving back in the most profound way we possibly can. The Reinvented Life, it's about being authentic to ourselves, having the most personal justice we possibly can to ourselves so that we can be the strongest, we can bring the best forward. And when you have more personal justice, it creates social justice. And during a time, unprecedented, uncharted terrain that anyone has ever been through like this, individuals, families, businesses, communities, everyone is affected in such a different way. And so when we can be a stand for ourselves first, and the strongest we can be to step into social justice, that's what the Reinvented Life is up to right now. It is not time to sit back. It is not time to take a break. It is a time to show up more magnificently, stronger, with more courage and more bravery than one has ever done. And so that's what we're up to. I spoke at a global virtual summit last week from people all over the world. I've had people connecting with me from South Africa and from the Netherlands and from Canada and England, all over the US. I mean, it's been a really incredible time. And instead of people falling into social distancing, we've really been emphasizing connecting. And today my guest is connecting on a whole new level with an entire state, and this is actually growing bigger than that, of Americans of African descent. I'm excited to bring this guest on today because we can get the word out and we can be a platform that is humanitarian. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. No matter where the need is, we want to step in and do it.
That word humanitarian really sits well with me right now because I've been trying to find the word for where we are right now. If you go back 100 years, let's go back 200 years. If we go back 200 years, we had a nation being born. We go back 100 years, we were in the industrial age. America was being built. You go back 20 years, we were at the beginning of the communication age, or the information age, where we had, all these new technologies, ways to communicate, ways to maneuver the world. We were able to video conference, with Japan and all of these things. And we're in a state now where the global effects of this pandemic are affecting everybody. Like you said, yes, they're affecting everybody in the same way, or in a different way, but they're also affecting everybody in the same way. And the way they're affecting everybody in the same way is they're changing everybody's lives. People are having to do things differently. And, you know, we can look at all of the negatives in this, the economics, the food this, the jobs that, the stock market this, real estate that. But the real big positive thing is that we have, you know, in the last 15, 20, even 50 years, we've had a lot of division in America. And what we're finding now is more people are coming together as one. And humanitarian, this is the humanitarian age. That is the word that I've been looking for, because we have family unit back together. We have people at home. I saw today a makeshift ski lift in the backyard. I couldn't believe it. It was the coolest thing. A father had done like a zip line with a folding chair, and he had the kids all geared up with their skis, and he had made this white trash bag ski slope, and the chairlift would take the kid up to the top of the where the pool would be, or the deck would be, and the kid would would ski down this makeshift ski, and it was the coolest thing. And these are the moments that we're going to cherish 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 years from now, where when we sit back and we look at where we're at today, yes, we had global economic, it's in all the papers, it's the Great Depression, we can call it what we want to call it, but humanitarian efforts, people coming together, and there's no color, there's no race, there's no religion, there's no division. People are coming together in unity, and that's what we've needed as a nation. And I don't have anything else to say.
Well, let's bring on my guest. I'm very excited about it. So,
Mr. Jay King, we're going to watch the clip. We'll be right back.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Boy, am I excited about today's guest. Not only am I going to introduce you to one of my favorite people on the entire planet, I can feel safe in saying he is my mentor. He is my inspiration.
Wow.
There's nothing that I haven't learned from this gentleman. I am so excited to invite you to hear from one of the most successful people I know. And the reason I'm going to define the success like this is he lives with no limits. He has no limiting beliefs. And he believes all is possible when he puts his mind to it, when we put our minds to it. He has single-handedly taught me how to do that in my life. I am so proud to bring on as our guest today to discuss such an important issue that's up right now, and a place that everyone can pitch in and help. The CEO of the California Black Chamber of Commerce, and my friend, Jay King. Welcome, Jay.
Oh, thank you. I'm happy to be here. I'm proud of you. You know, I remember when you talked about doing this, and now watching you do it. You know, it's further proof that there are no limits for any of us. We can do anything we want to do. We just got to do it.
We just got to do it, and I think that's been the theme of your life. You know, from starting in your life in music, winning a Grammy, never stopping, never sitting on those laurels. Never once since I've known you have you sat on those laurels. It's always about pushing forward, and it's always about helping in a much bigger way. And I am just so proud right now, specifically what the California Black Chamber is up to help African-American businesses. And so I'd start this out by asking you, can you explain to everyone a little bit about the California Black Chamber, and then certainly about the foundation?
Okay, so the California Black Chamber we're a statewide organization. We are concerned with what happens to African-American businessmen and women around the state. And a lot of the work that we do is legislative and policy. And also, we sit on the board, Small Business Council of the High Speed Rail, Caltrans, and the Department of General Services, also known as DGS. And so we are at the table for African American small businessmen and women across the state as a spokesperson and as a stakeholder. So speaking on behalf of stakeholders. And the way we advocate is through our 24 chambers that are positioned around the state. And they bring us the issues, and we help where we can, and we make sure that the voice of the African American small businessman and woman is being heard. We also do economic development and economic empowerment. We hold a host of workshops and seminars to really connect the community with the different business opportunities that exist throughout the state. And we really try to advocate for self-reliance, independence, self-sufficiency, and holding one accountable to him or herself, especially as business people.
And with this, you mentioned 24 chambers throughout the state. So what can people do in both their local communities and statewide to kind of get involved? I know there's a big initiative on the table right now for everyone to pitch in, and particularly African American owned small businesses have been so adversely hit during this time. So how can people get involved? How can we spread the word? When the African American community is challenged, it means that we are all challenged, and we all have a humanitarian obligation to get involved. So how can people do that in their local chambers, and then also with this work that the foundation is doing?
So let me do a couple of things, because you asked me about the foundation. So the chamber is an organization that advocates and does the things I told you about. The foundation is the philanthropic part of the chamber. It's where all of our philanthropy goes, and it's where philanthropists donate money so we can get it out to the community. And so our chamber is what's supporting the Everybody Pitch In. And the Everybody Pitch In campaign started because once we started seeing the stimulus dollars come to the communities, very few were coming to our community because we didn't qualify for a lot of the programs because we didn't have employees, because 95% of African American businesses are sole proprietorships. 95%. That means only 5% of African American businesses have one employee or more. That's frightening. So here come all these stimulus dollars, these billions and billions of dollars, cumulatively trillions of dollars, and not even crumbs make it to our community. So, we were getting bombarded with calls of people who filled out the application, didn't get responses, or were denied, or didn't understand the application process. And at that point, I knew that we had to start stepping up for ourselves. So there are 2.3 million African Americans in California. 2.3 million African Americans spend $96 billion a year in California.
Wow.
So we are the economy driver here. We drive this economy. So and at the rate we're going right now, it looks like we're going to lose somewhere between 40 and 60% of African American businesses after COVID-19 if we don't do something about it. So we could do one or two things. We can complain about what the government's going to do, and maybe or maybe not they do something. Maybe it's months down the road, or we can do something ourselves. And I said, you know what? If 2.3 million African Americans that live in California just put $5 in, we'd have $11.5 million to help African American businesses. But just imagine if we did it every month. We'd have $11.5 million of discretionary funds, or over $130 million a year that we could spread throughout our community. So we have to start thinking in different terms. It's not that Black folk don't have money, because we do. And the reason why we know we have money is because we spend between 1.2 and $1.5 trillion a year, which is the equivalent of the number 9 to number 11 economy in the world. So we have to change some things about us. There have to be some things that happen in this country to pay the debt that it owes to Americans of African descent for the crimes that have been committed against us. So when people look at our business community and they say, well, why do they need so much help? Why do we have to make extra concessions for them? It's because of all groups of people that live in this country. None were enslaved except us. Of all business groups that exist in this country, none had their whole communities burnt down like us, where the government agencies, elected officials, and businessmen and women participated in the destruction of the foundation of a business community. It only happened in our community. And just because you sweep it under the rug, just because you don't talk about it in history, just because you don't make it a real conversation, doesn't mean it didn't happen. Not only did it happen, it continues to happen every time we ignore it and try to make African American business owners scapegoats of their own demise, because they're up against a pendulum that is destined to chop their necks off based on the illegal and racially motivated banking practices, the systematic racisms and bigotries that still exist in this country, even in our government, even during a time with COVID. We can't get equal justice. Somebody has to say something. And we'd be foolish to think somebody will say something right now, because they haven't said nothing in the past. So we have to start doing something different. We have to be different. We have to say something different. We have to act different. We have to do things different if we want something different to happen.
So this taking action is the best way, because I love what you're saying. If everyone could just give it a level of $5,
Yep.
And I think that should extend outside of the African American community. I think if everyone watching this, if everyone can spread this word, that everyone can be able to think the little they could do won't make a difference. And that's what I was asking what is the best way that people can go about contributing this? Because as you say, these atrocities that have taken place will never get fixed, but we can bring them into light.
Yep.
And so much about the reinvented life is about what issues are relevant and what is relevant in our lives today. And how can we help all of us, help humanity, so that we can change that pendulum?
Well, the call is for the Black community to support itself. And anybody who helps outside of that is appreciated, but it's not mandatory. you know, because every community is hurt. So I had this white woman come on the Cal BCC website, and she saw a video that I made where I called on the Black community to put $5. If 2.3 million African Americans put in $5, we'd have $11.5 million. And she said, "Who is this guy? Everybody's hurting. What if I started a white man fund? You know, I would support this if this was for every business, not just African Americans." And so I responded to her and said, unfortunately, the African American small businessman and woman has the weakest economic engine in this country due to a myriad of reasons, some of which are based in racism and bigotry and prejudices that shouldn't exist, but they do. And they're too many for me to mention in this text. However, if you started a white man fund, I wouldn't be offended. Nor would I be offended if any other group started a fund for their community, because I think it's necessary. I'm not asking you or anyone else to contribute to this fund. I'm calling on Black people to support themselves, and to the tune of $5 each, minimal. I put $1,000 in because I was able to, and my 1,000 will offset the other 199 that didn't have the $5 to do. And some of us who can give more, we will. But I'm going to be doing this without reservation moving forward. So you will see me continue to ask the Black community to stand up for itself. So I think people are looking for race issues because that's what we've been conditioned in. You know, we've been conditioned in polarizing race and causes. In our community, it is imperative that Black people learn how to support each other. It is imperative that Black people learn how to invest in their own communities. It is imperative that Black people hold Black leadership accountable for its failure when it comes to preparing us as a community to be financially literate. It is imperative that we have hard conversations that are not politically correct, where some people's feelings are going to get hurt. It is imperative that we put ourselves in an uncomfortable space because it's the only way our community is going to grow.
Absolutely. You know, it is a shame. I mean, it is a shame in today's day and age that these conversations for a lot of people aren't comfortable. It just is what it is. Again, at the Reinvented Life, we talk about, you know, we need to get real. We need to get very real about these conversations. And as I said in the beginning, when I introduced you, you know, I owe so much to you, to be honest, for me, in understanding that the Black community, the African American, or, you know, of African American descent.
Americans of African descent, yes.
Americans of African descent is not unlike any other communities. Incredibly prideful, incredibly caring, incredibly motivated to want change. And why I felt so compelled is my love and my care of learning of this community. And it is only in the embracing of the change, which, as we know, is not easy in communities. But as we embrace this change and as we get this word out there, as we agree to get uncomfortable with any of these dialogues, it is the only thing that will help make the future better, because we cannot. And I relish learning history from you. I relish learning American history that I have been learning from you and subsequently on my own, because I think it's that important to tell when history is told in a true way.
Yes.
In authentic, no matter how many atrocities and how embarrassing it may be and how uncomfortable, as you said, it may be, if we can pull together as humanity and not see color and not see race, but see lovable human beings caring for each other. That is my personal goal, is to shed more love and bring more hope so that more people can feel good about that.
Well, you know, that's a wonderful thought, but one thing I do know is we are going to see race and we are going to see color. And these are things that are just going to be. But if we could learn that even in seeing those things, that the interesting part of us is how different we are. That culturally that there is something different about us that we can learn and enjoy and mimic in certain ways, you know. I don't mind that. I don't mind that race and color and religion and all those things exist and differences and that people are different. Respecting them, respecting that somebody else has a different opinion than you.
Mm-hmm.
Respecting that people they are different from a cultural standpoint, from a religious standpoint, from a sexual orientation standpoint, from whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
that they get to be as free as you are. But when you start to put limits on who you are, what you can do and what you can be, whether you know it or not, subconsciously, you start to put limits on other people too. So I don't put limits on people because I don't want limits on me. I'm not concerned about what somebody else is. I'm concerned about what I am to me. And I think the day that we have honest conversations where if, something happened in one of our community meetings one day, a police captain woman, she said, we were having this honest conversation and she said, I am more afraid of darker African Americans than I am of lighter African Americans. And she said, I have this inherent bias that the big black guy is a lot more dangerous than a smaller, lighter skinned guy. And some people in our group were offended by it, but I was not. And so after the meeting, they said, I really didn't like that she said that. I said, you should have been happy that she said it, that she felt safe enough to speak her honest truth, because that's how she is able to grow. Because we get to teach her that I'm probably more dangerous than a lot of y'all in this room. And so we get to have honest conversations. Now we know that the conversations can be honest. People say they want to have honest conversations. People say they want to be open. People say they want to say what they feel. But a lot of people are lying to themselves. So it's easy for them to lie to you.
Mm.
And that's why we live in the world we live in. We live in a world full of lies and make-believe. And, sooner or later, the rubber's going to hit the road. But we got to get to the honest to goodness truth of what this life is. Ain't none of us going to make it out of this alive. Not one of us. And, if you walk around here all pained up and hurt and angry, and then your time come to an end, I think you just wasted a meat suit. So I wake up in the morning excited about whatever the world is going to do, whatever life is going to be. When people were quarantined, I was not, because quarantine is right here. I was out walking and working out. I was reading. My mind can take me so many places. You know, you read and you can read about, Amalfi and, and see pictures, and you can be there. I watch the stock market. You look at my house. I got big sheets of paper, 3 feet by 2 feet, that stick to the wall with different stock options I'm going to buy, different things I'm going to do. It's just, so my house is like a big poster board of ideas, because I was able to sit here while the world closed down and open up my mind to possibilities.
Well, that is just the key. That is what is so amazing about you is literally there are no limits. You have taught me that personally. You have taught that person by person by person that you embrace in life. And I just can't thank you enough for being who you are and being such an iconic leader, not to say what you believe, not afraid to hear what others believe, and just live by that, no limits. I know our time is almost up here, but what I want to do is once again let people know where they can go to contribute to the GoFundMe. I believe it's on the calbcc.org website.
They don't have to even go there. They can just go to gofundme.com.
Perfect.
And just type in everybody pitch in. It'll say California Black Chamber is the first campaign that you'll see. It's an aqua blue. You'll see, what you'll realize, there's a lot of different hands, different colors, but it's with an aqua blue foreground. And you'll see my name, Jay King, and it's everybody pitch in. We're about $10,400 right now. We're going to raise $10 million. And everybody's going to pitch in to help save African-American small business people in the state of California.
Well, we're certainly going to do our part to get the word out there as well. People can also go to the reinventedlife.com, and we put the link there. I can't thank you enough, Jay, for your time, for doing all you do, for taking action in the community, and just making the world a better place. Sacramento certainly, but really reaching out much farther than that. So I'd like to end with, any last comment you'd like to just let people know about.
I hope that during the course of the shutdown that people found a space to know themselves. And if you didn't, take the time to find a space to get to know yourself, the good, the bad, the ugly, and really know you. Explore yourself. Learn how to enjoy yourself. Because when I hear of all the people who had anxiety and different emotional attacks because we were locked in, it was kind of like, wow. Most people don't even know who they are and don't like what they see. I really enjoy being by myself and just enjoying the life ride. So enjoy your life ride. Take care of your meat suit.
Yes. Take care of yourself too. Thank you again so much for giving. Wish everyone well.
All right. Welcome back. Wow, Jay King, absolutely phenomenal. It's always good to hear the things that he's got to say. It's extremely, just the way he sees things. It's just phenomenal. So where do we go from here?
Well, I actually have to take a lead from Jay King, because as you heard me talk about with him, he is someone who firmly does not have any limiting beliefs. And we talk all the time at the Reinvented Life how these limiting beliefs really affect people, help affect people from seeing their full potential, from limiting what they feel they might be able to do. This is one of, as you heard me say, the most extraordinarily talented and extraordinary capable people you'd ever want to meet. I mean, you meet a Grammy winner, yet he doesn't sit on those laurels. And he is literally leading the charge right now at the California Black Chamber of Commerce, which you heard him say, has 24 chapters around the state. And what I take from that is he is all about giving back. He has taught me about not having limiting beliefs. He has taught countless people that whatever you want to do, you can make possible. Right. You and I were talking earlier before we started our show today about what the governor is doing and proposing in California as an example, where the state can pay restaurants to in turn help some of the seniors that don't have the ability to get out and get food or shop or otherwise. It's these kinds of measures, it's these kinds of hands that are linking together to always talk about when you show up your strongest, as we started this show out, and you show up with the most personal justice you can give yourself, then social justice becomes just an extension of that. And so that's the real message of today's show, is how to be the strongest link, how to link with others, how to create something like we've just heard about, which is this GoFundMe, everyone pitch in campaign. $5, you heard the numbers, you heard Jay describe them. $5 an individual can create millions of dollars.
Absolutely. So, and all it is just people coming together to help the guy down the street. And the crazy thing is we all have $5. Even when we don't have $5, we still have $5.
And so it's the realizing that when you're in purpose, when you give 5, and as you say, your neighbor gives 5, and that neighbor gives 5, and that neighbor gives 5, now you're linking together and you're getting something stronger. And it is my hope and my initiative, and I know yours because of how we're collaborating on this show, to get millions of people involved in this. Thousands, hundreds of thousands, then lead to millions. And millions of people hear about that and put in $5 and think about the difference that we can make. So I appreciate you, all your support, what JRQ TV is doing to help us with this initiative and really become a force for good. And that's what it's really all about today. It's not about being socially distanced. It's about being more connected than ever and bringing good to communities. So
all
thank you
absolutely. All we're trying to do is connect people. That's it. That's the whole intention of JRQ TV, is just connecting an audience with small businesses and connecting small businesses with other small businesses. That's the entire premise of this thing. And it's exactly what you're doing. And you're definitely an asset to everything that we're doing here.
Well, thank you so much. And let's just wish everyone a great week and more connections.
Absolutely. And I want to thank the audience for tuning in. The Reinvented Life, Real Talk, of course, JRQ TV. My name is John Robert Quinn, and of course, Pamela Chanel David. Thank you so much. And thank Jay King as well. We'll see you guys all next week. You're watching JRQ TV. Be sure to like and subscribe.